Hello there. This weekend just gone, my best friend from school and his family came to visit me and my family. We spent some time at our local beach together, had barbecues, laughed out loud from the belly. During one of our more in-depth conversations, he reminded me of a time in my life when I attempted to overcome a big personal challenge all by myself, and without any help or support at all, and was failing miserably. He reminded me of the term, alone we are outnumbered, he said. And it's something that I've replayed in my mind a great deal since. And today's video is kind of influenced and inspired by that, really. I recall that way back in 2004, I took a week's holiday and had a staycation whereby I sat in my lounge from 7 a.m. till 11 p.m. writing the bulk of my book, my latest book at the time. And one of the funny things about it, I recall speaking to another friend on the phone on the Thursday, and I said to him, you know what, you're the first person I've interacted with in 5 days. It was bizarre to have this kind of human interaction suddenly, and I vowed that I was never going to repeat it. My friend and I happened to meet up the following evening, and we went to the pub together, and I remember how lovely it was to engage in real life with him and other people. Likewise, you know, I love it when I finally get to meet people with whom I've only ever previously had email contact with, for example, such as students who register for my courses. When we meet up, they're always so much more lovely than I imagined. Now, that's not because I imagined them as anything other than lovely, but because an actual meeting in real life was so enriching and wonderful on a number of levels. And the real life interaction makes them all the more wonderful. I recall my younger days when I lived on a kibbutz for a while. I remember travelling into Jordan and Syria by train and across waters on a bit of a journey. And there was a husband and wife who were talking and pointing out a range of red rock Arabian mountains on one of the journeys, and they were stunning, and the sun had been beating on them all day, and it was early evening, and these mountains were almost kind of glowing this sort of deep red colour. It was not an important memory just because it was so stunning and beautiful, but because I recall wanting to say to someone close to me, wow, look at that. It's amazing, isn't it? You know, I wanted to share. I took some photos, but they didn't really do justice to the splendour of that moment while I was travelling alone. You know, and I love opportunities that I get to spend alone in my garden. I love reading and studying alone on occasions and researching. With just alone with my thoughts. I love those highly productive days when I get to work on projects alone and become engrossed in those moments of quiet and solitude, you know, and of course solitude can be a beautiful and a bountiful thing, no doubt. However, when I think about moments when I was really happy or enjoying life to the fullest, they involved other people. And when you think about moments of major importance to you, I bet most of those moments were shared with someone. I mean, they don't have to be extravagant moments or out of the ordinary necessarily, but simply those moments when everything is great and in the right place. Research has shown that having those interactions and those connections have a profound effect upon us. Stephen Joyal Md, Vice President of Scientific Affairs and Medical Development for Life Extensions, which is a non-profit organisation dedicated to research on extending the human lifespan. He says, the idea that social interaction is important to mental and physical health has been hinted at and studied for years. You know, we are social creatures. Recent research suggests that the link between social interaction and health and well-being is more important than we've realized. You know, firstly, social interaction helps problem solving. It boosts creativity. Social interactions help invoke the kind of diffuse mode in your brain when you're learning something new. Professor Barb Oakley explains that during the day when we bounce between focus mode and diffuse mode, basically focus mode is about concentrating on one concept or on a very specific scope while you're learning. However, it's exhausting for our brain to keep this mode going for a long period of time. This is why going into diffuse mode is helpful. Diffuse mode helps us understand general ideas. It lets our brain make connections with unrelated concepts. Having an interaction with a friend about general topics, even small talking about the weather or just saying hi and smiling, helps our brain to move into that diffuse mode and away from the problem. The simple move from the focus to the diffuse mode allows the brain to approach the problem from a different point of view. And more often than not, we're able to resolve an issue or come up with an answer, a resolution, faster, quicker, or even more dynamically. Social interaction helps us fight depression. In a study featured in the Journal of Affective Disorders, psychologists Dr. Alexander Haslam and Dr. Tegan Cruis and their colleagues at the University of Queensland they conducted 2 studies of patients that were diagnosed with depression or anxiety. The patients either joined a community group with activities such as sewing, yoga, sports, art, or they partook in group therapy at a psychiatric hospital. As a result of the studies, they were able to state we were able to find clear evidence that joining groups and coming to identify with them can alleviate depression. A study led by the University of Michigan, for example, also explored the effect that social rejection has on the mood and hormones. When a person receives an emotional rejection, the brain releases opioids. Opioids are substances that diminish the effect of emotional pain in the body, similar to physical pain. A later study by the University of Colorado, Boulder, showed that rejection is more closely related to sadness and depression. Have an interaction with a stranger, with a friend or a family member, and this will help them fight the sadness that they may experience as a result of an earlier rejection. A smile, goes a long way to show acceptance and a sense of community. Here in the UK, many mental health charities offer support groups for those with depression to come and share, support and engage with others. I help lots of my clients seek out these groups. While it's valuable to share and hear the experience of others, the simple and basic social interaction in and of itself offers health benefits. Social interactions help release oxytocin. Oxytocin first became a focus of study because it plays a major role in the bonding process of mother and child. It's been shown that oxytocin strengthens the bonds that make the relationship of a mother and child a special one. Now, more studies have been conducted and it's shown effects in many other areas. Humans that have been treated with oxytocin have shown a visible increase in fidelity to their partner, for example. Also, this hormone helps the feeling of compassion and care. In a more notable study, autistic children that were treated with oxytocin showed higher levels of comfort with social interactions. Oxytocin is only released in response to a positive effect. That means when neurons get excited, oxytocin is released, and this release triggers the hypothalamus to produce more oxytocin. Evidence shows that we produce oxytocin during social interactions. Social interactions help older adults to combat the aging process. So some may argue that older adults, and particularly those with physical deteriorations, have different goals, and perhaps thus they're less ambitious to perhaps exercise regularly. But while this statement could be true, research reveals that persuasion among older adults is actually similar to younger members of society. However, several barriers, including physical and cognitive decline, impede their ability to participate in outdoor activities and result in them isolating from society. So the social interaction suppresses, or the lack of it, suppresses their motives to have an active life. However, research in Trento on these issues suggests social interaction and physical exercising are coherent. The study confirms that social facilitation tools motivate users to train together in virtual fitness environments, for example. The value of social interaction amongst the elderly, it's laid out beautifully and according to a strong evidence base in a PDF that was produced by the Age UK charity. Go have a read of that document that I've put a link to somewhere. Wherever you're watching this video, on this page, I will make sure that there's a link to that PDF. You can go take a look at it, really useful. Social interactions, may help to reduce the risk of serious illness. In a recent study on the health benefits of social relationships, published in 2014, researchers provided evidence that social ties and increased contact with family and friends are associated with a lower risk of death in young women with breast cancer. The researchers said, that this study provides research-based evidence that social support helps with physical symptoms. That was the lead author, Candice Kroenk, who's a staff scientist with the Kaiser Permanente division of research. She said, given that this dimension was determined by the availability of someone with whom to have fun, relax, and get one's mind off things for a while, it's possible that positive social interaction may enable women to forget for a while the distress of being a cancer patient, and the physiologic effects last beyond the actual interaction. Wow. And what's more, a 2010 meta-analysis of 148 other studies showed that social connection doesn't just help younger women survive health problems, the lack of it may cause them. So staying connected to family and friends, or making a decision to develop new friendships, it's never been more important. And, despite the recent pandemic full of living life in lockdown and isolation, it's never been easier. The digital age allows us to stay connected via our phones, texts, emails, Skype, Zoom, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, and so on. In fact, we can meet and make virtual friends that live miles away, or even, in different countries. So, real life social interaction, it's so much, it's so enjoyable, it's so much fun. And as lockdown eases, go meet up in real life, even if it is wearing a mask and at a socially safe distance, of course. Share laughter, and whether it's, lunches with co-workers to outings on the weekend with old school friends, having some fun is going to give you a sense of warmth and fulfillment that's pretty tough to find in any other way. Whether it's a quiet and intimate one-to-ones or permitted, larger get-togethers with those in your safe bubbles, the evidence is pretty conclusive too. Social interactions incredibly good for your health in a number of ways. Today, decide to make sure that your social calendar is full, for the foreseeable future, or full up. I'm going to build upon this in my next video that I'm going to record straight away. It's going to be all about developing friendships and the benefits of doing so. But with regards to social interaction, that's it for today. Do subscribe to this channel. You'll get notifications of my latest videos as they happen. Do go visit my college website for details about upcoming both classroom-based courses and all of our online courses, subjects of hypnotherapy and self-hypnosis. And I send you my very best wishes. Goodbye for now.